What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Vaping with Thesis. Today we have got the Dotmod Dotstick, and at first I thought I had this device pegged for something it wasn't. Come to find out I was wrong. With that said, let's go and take a look up close and we'll find out why. Now let's go and get into it. So real quick, I paid 65 bucks for this on Dotmod's official website. Now to me that seemed kind of steep because you could pay an extra 5 bucks and get the Dotmod.aiose. However, there are some features on the Dotstick that don't exist on the .aiose. With that said, let's go and unbox it and see exactly what you get. That's how she sits. 18350 device, also 18650 with the extension tube. That extension tube is absolutely ugly. Bam! Let's go and take a look and listen to the threads quick. That's our battery door, and right here you can see it's either stainless or aluminum. I'm gonna guess aluminum only because those threads look extremely soft. Hopefully you can see the kind of poor quality that those threads are. Look at that. It's sharp. You can see the knurlings. There's actually pieces of metal still in it. It is lined, which is always a good thing, especially for safety. Let's go and pop this in, take a listen. To me, that's straight crunch. Like, I don't like crunch when it comes to my threads. You can see that. Look at the knurlings. So you do have an extension tube for that 18650 positive to the top. You got it nicely labeled at the base and kind of keep it in 18350 mode. That's just kind of where I prefer it to be. Right here is your positive pin directly on top, and that's essentially the mod in a nutshell. Let's go and take a look inside the accessories box. You do have a couple of extras, which I'm happy that they include. One of them being the 1.0 ohm coil. This is the same style coils that the Nord takes. You can stop in at a vape shop and chances are they will have Nord coils. You do have extra O-rings and of course the drip tip right here, which is a smaller bore diameter, which is going to aid in your MTL uses. On top of that, you've got your micro USB for charging and of course your instructions. I do suggest taking a look at the instructions. This device does have a lot of modes, especially for something with only one button. Go and take a look at the tank. This is two separate devices in and of itself. It is the tank and it is the mod. I think the mod by itself goes for around 35-ish bucks. This goes for around 32, which is worth it in my opinion if you're looking for a perfect MTL tank. This would be a perfect replacement for something like a Nautilus or any other MTL tank out there. The Aries by Anakin, for example, that is an excellent MTL tank. This in and of itself is just a smaller variation of that system. So let's go ahead and pop a battery in and see exactly how we turn it on. Right here, positive to the top. Let's go and throw on our battery door. And this is where this device really kind of stands out. The size of this mod cannot be understated. It is tiny. See this? Do you guys hear those crunches? I had to like back off those threads for a sec. So popping this on, the battery door is hard to get off with that O-ring that sits just beneath those threads, and it is a little bit of a hassle. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's got this beautiful little badge that is not a button. That's initially what I thought, was a secondary button, and it is not. But I do like it. It reminds me of a mech mod, especially an 18350 one like this. It's gorgeous. Now, I'll be completely honest, at first the tank was a little bit confusing, especially because I didn't realize that you actually don't twist this bottom off to get to the coil. You simply push, turn a quarter turn, and pop off, and that's exactly how you're going to fill it. That's also exactly how you're going to replace your coil. I have been testing this 0.4 ohm coil for a few days. It is just as stunning in terms of flavor as the Dotmod.aiose and the Dotmod.aio coils. The 0.3 ohm mesh coils that come with those devices are fantastic. In fact, I purchased a whole nother set of these 0.4 ohm coils from Element Vape specifically because of how good the flavor was. Now, as I take this one out, we're going to go ahead and test the 0.1 ohm coil. And I can tell you right now, one of the things that's kind of annoying about this tank is the messiness. It just gets super sloppy once you're filling it up. And after you've filled it like maybe 2 or 3 times, that's when you start to realize the amount of condensation, the amount of liquid on this base right here. 1, 2, and 3 little ball bearings. That's kind of what the spring loaded action is. You push it down, you turn it, and that's exactly how you fill it up. Now, if you take a look at the 0.4 ohm coil and the 1 ohm coil, you see the huge difference in terms of MTL status. This 0.4 ohm coil does a perfect MTL in my opinion. This one's going to be a little bit tighter. I'm actually kind of excited to see how she vapes. I didn't have that great of luck with the .aio coils and the higher ohm and higher resistance setups. With the 0.3 ohm, it was virtually perfect. A little bit messy. Let's pop her in there. There we go. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about Dotmod using the Nord style coils, but I will tell you their variation of it is like, it's legitimately one of the best MTLs I've ever used. Strictly just, pertaining to flavor. And I am using Pod Juice Jewel Mint. Filling this up to the brim, I believe this is a 2 milliliter tank. The nice part about this is as you fill it up, the air does escape. So you can fill this basically to the point where it's full with almost no bubble. Now, as that sits, I kind of want to go over the device itself. I cannot understate to you how tiny this is. Here's an 18650 battery and it's taller than the mod. This to me is a fantastic all day MTL as long as you got yourself a couple of 18350s. Simply put, with the 1 ohm coil, you are going to get better battery life. I'm just not 100% sure on the flavor as of right now. We'll go ahead and find that out together. Right here at the top, it is a 510 thread, as well as a spring-loaded 510 pin, which is what I like to see. I cannot believe they actually had enough room to do that, to be honest with you. We got these beautiful little knurlings on top. I kind of like that design, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on, and then after it's on, you can hit 1, 2, 3 and adjust your power. So green is going to be your hottest setting, white is going to be bypass, red is going to be your lowest setting, which is kind of backwards to what you would think it would be. Blue is going to be your middle setting right there. I want to actually rock this on red just out of the bat, just because that way I want to see how this 1 ohm is without it burning. Now it does have dry protection, and the way that you would take that dry protection off, or dry hit protection rather, off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once it's completely off, you just push and hold the button. It's going to be yellow. That means it's on. Push and hold the button, and it's going to turn green. That means it's off. The only time I ever really turn it off is when I'm using that bypass mode, if I'm going to rock an old school 22mm RDA. In this situation, I definitely want to keep that dry burn on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get it back on. We've waited a couple of minutes. Now let's go ahead and take our first hit. Yep, that's similar to the .AIO and .AIO SE coils. The higher the resistance, the less flavor I'm getting out of these coils. Whew, that is tight. That's on the lowest setting. You know what? I'm curious to see if we turn it up a little bit. That's 10 watts. Let's go ahead and turn it up, 1, 2, 3, and see if we can't eke a little bit more flavor out of it. Let's turn to the blue, which is medium. It's a bit more, but it's still missing that sweet note that I missed from the 0.4 and the 0.3 ohm coils. A little bit of break-in period. Let's go ahead and hit this at green. There we go. So those couple of watts I wouldn't think would make a huge difference, but it does. This coil still isn't, perfect in comparison to the 0.4 ohm. It does rock that 0.7 ohm Nord coil, I believe, as well. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off quick. Let's go ahead and just see if we can't hit it with a bypass and see what happens. It's basically acting as a mech mod in terms of having that bypass. However, there is circuitry and protection, which is always a good thing. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and hit that white. There it is, right there. That is definitely a better hit. Now, just as a heads up, I'm completely all the way open on this airflow ring. With my 0.4 ohm coil, I'm usually between 2 and 3, maybe something closer like 2.5 holes open. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it like that with this 1 ohm coil and see what that's like. Yeah, that is excellent. That is not as good as a 0.4 ohm, but it's still excellent. That's a great flavor. If Dotmod continues to produce devices and coils with this caliber of flavor, I'm telling you guys, like right now, in my humble opinion, they are reigning king with devices like this, with the coils that they offer, with devices like this and the coils that these offer. I'm legitimately impressed by this little device. Now, would I recommend to purchase the tank on its own? Genuinely speaking, I would. This tank right here is a perfect example of what an MTL should be, in my opinion. I still think the 0.4 ohm coils are much better quality in terms of flavor overall. If you want a device that is extremely stealthy and small, this is the way to go. I would recommend getting the kit. However, if you're in that demographic between the .AIO as well as this, I don't know, like for me, $5 extra is going to get you a bigger, heftier device. 18650, not much bigger footprint. I think I like something more girthy like this. I'm just as happy rocking a Le Petit with this device right here, so long as it matches. Unfortunately, in classic Dotmod fashion, they only have gold. But for me, I do like something like this, more of a box mod style than I do a stick mod, especially one that looks like a mech, but isn't a mech. End of sentence. Bitch, it's okay, mother truckers. Now, with that being said, let's go and get back to regular view, son. My final summation is this. The Dotmod Dotstick is a good answer to the Dotmod .AIO. However, I do think they're kind of stepping on their own 2 feet by coming out with a device as small as the Dotmod or a little bit smaller than the .AIO. Like, I prefer a box mod over a stick device any day of the week. Simply put, battery life. 18350, even on this 1 ohm setup, isn't even going to compare to an 18650 box mod. It simply isn't. Here's the part where I start to get a little bit wishy-washy on it. I like the fact that I've got an 18350 device that's regulated, that can transform into an 18650 device anytime I needed to. And then on top of that, with flavor, it can absolutely compete. The best part about this kit is going to be the 22mm tank that can fit on virtually any device, so you can take that flavor with you. Whereas the .AIO, of course, you cannot. It is a separate pod system style where you always have to use that mod. So you kind of got to weigh it out. The flavor at the end of the day is almost identical as the .AIO. Is the 0.3 ohm coils that comes with the .AIO, the 0.4 ohm coils that come with this are absolutely phenomenal. And legitimately one of the best MTL coils I've ever used. This beats out the Nautilus. This is a damn good job, or pretty close to beating out the Aries. I'm going to say it right now. I think Dotmod, in my opinion, is the king of MTL pre-built coil tanks. Beautiful. Now here's one of the downsides with this tank that I've noticed over the past couple of fills. Once there's liquid on the inside of the tank and into that airflow section, it does tend to leak a little bit. The hotter you rock these smaller coils like this, the more prone to leaking they become. That's not unique to this device. That's virtually any device. If you rock that .AIO, if you rock an Aries tank, if you rock a Nautilus, it's going to leak a little bit, especially if you're pushing that temperature range a little bit hotter than is recommended. But once you wipe those airflow holes and you give it a couple of puffs at a little bit cooler temp, I haven't had any issues with it. That 1 ohm coil is doing its job and then some. Again, if you're going to rock it in 18350 mode, I do recommend using that 1 ohm coil. If you do want the best possible flavor, rock with that 0.4 ohm. It's legitimately the best flavor experience I've had since the .AIO 0.3 ohm coils. Period. I don't know what they're doing different than Smock and their Nord coils. For example, I've rocked the Nord coils. They're great flavor. These, for whatever reason, seem to be better. And they offer a better MTL experience. This is a perfect getting off of cigarettes device. It's also a perfect device for the pocket. This has been in my pocket nonstop for the past couple of days. Not once have I hit the button on accident. Bitch, it's okay, mother truckers. Now on Thesis patented finger compatibility scale, I'm gonna give this bad boy a solid 7 just in terms of overall. Now the reason it's gonna be a 7 and not anything higher is simply because of the leaking. There is more leaking on this tank than there is in the .AIO setup. Simply put, the leaking is very minimal, but there still is liquid coming out of those holes. That's the only thing that's drawing this entire kit back. Now in terms of flavor, I've already said it, 8.5, 9, maybe even a 9.2. It's creeping up there to almost perfection. It's really difficult to get any coil to be a perfect coil. However, in terms of flavor, it's hard to beat this. Don't waste your time with the kit unless you're specifically looking for something that is the stealthiest of the stealth. You can take this and hide it in your hand just like that. Ain't nobody gonna see it. Nowhere. It sits in your pocket, you don't even notice it's there. And that's the way I like my stealth systems. Just to give you another example, where is my disposables? Here, look at the size difference. The disposable is just a hair bigger and almost the same thickness. That right there will give you an idea of how small this actually is. Bitch, it's okay, mother truckers. Now with that being said, I want to tell you that I appreciate y'all for vaping with Thesis. It is your boy Thesis. I'm out.